Hey guys, I'm sure y'all have probably heard about the story of Norland Xavier, a young kid who was actually killed when he went out with his friends and is causing a lot of drama on the internet. And white folks are like, okay, you guys should keep me out of it. So if you want the full gist concerning the entire matter, you're at the right place because I'm about to show you some clips showing how various persons have reacted to this issue. So grab your seat because it's about to go down. Let's start.
This video is for white people. When Gabby Petito went missing and her ex-boyfriend had no idea where she was and then eventually was nowhere to be found himself, everybody understood that that was suspicious because anytime somebody goes missing after being with specific people and then they suddenly have no idea what happened and that person who is left behind ends up dead, that is wildly suspicious. In Gabby Petito's case, she was a young woman alone with a man. Dangerous. In Nolan Xavier Wells' case, he was a black teenager out with all white friends. Now, a lot of you, when you hear that, get immediately defensive, angry, and that is what you're reacting to. Regardless of what actually happened to Nolan Xavier Wells, there is racism at the heart of this story, no matter what, because those white boys left their friend. And instead of trying to get answers for his family, are lawyering up and becoming silent. That alone, without any knowledge of what actually happened to Nolan Xavier Wells, says a lot about the character of the people who left him behind. We know this, and we also know that since the very beginning of this country, it has been a dangerous place to be black. This is deeply embedded into the history of this country, and it is not new and it has not gone away. There are realities that we live in. There are patterns that we recognize that we then apply to these situations. If you are a woman or somebody who listens to women, you knew what happened to Gabby Petito. If you are a black woman or somebody who listens to black women or somebody in a group of women friends, you know that what happened to Tamla Horsford doesn't make any fucking sense. And if you are a black person, you understand the danger that Nolan Xavier Wells was in just by being out with a group of only white friends in Mississippi. What happened to Nolan Xavier Wells and what Carmelo Anthony was afraid would happen to him are linked. It's all part of the fabric of white supremacy and anti-blackness in the United States of America. After repeated deaths of black children over and over in the news, at the hands of non-black people, at the hands of police. After all that, why is it so hard for you to just listen to what the people who've been in these positions are telling you? If black people are repeatedly telling you they are raised to believe they may not be safe in these circumstances for this exact reason, and you say that's not true, that's not fair, what is it about you that thinks that all of these people are in some sort of conspiracy around racism? It's all theory to you. And you do not have the fucking character, integrity, or intelligence to take in that information from a group of other people and trust it. Because God forbid you look at who you are and the pain and suffering that you might have caused. So you have to look at a situation that is so very clearly fucked up, so very clearly shady. You have to look at it and say, but what if you guys are victimized? There's one fucking victim. He's dead. Everybody else is alive. If you want to live in a world where white people are not suspected of being dangerous to black people, then stop being fucking dangerous to black people. Do the work now to create that world, because it's not the one we live in.
Oh, man. You know, guys, I don't even know how to say this, but I'm going to say it. I did a TikTok today, and I was talking about the Nolan Wells case headed to the grand jury. And I was speaking facts based off of my research, diving down a rabbit hole, seeing what's going on, and watching the current events unfold with the Nolan Wells case. So I posted the video. And within 2 minutes of me posting the video, a guy came into my comment section and he said, "You people are stupid. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about." No. Yes, he was white. He was white. He was a white guy, and he was addressing me as "you people." Now, I don't understand why when them folks get upset because the truth is starting to come out, they start addressing us by everything except our name. And I try not to take it the wrong way when he said "you people," but when I thought about it and it dawned on me, when he say "you people," he's not talking about y'all people, all of us as a whole. He's talking about you people as black people. And he basically said, "You people don't know what you're talking about." And I don't understand why he didn't just address me as Damien. My name's right there, Mr. Crier, you people. And the truth hurts, man. And that's what happens, man. They get mad when the truth comes out because they don't want those three boys, the other three boys, to be charged with anything. They want it to be swept under the rug, just like everything else that's going on in this country. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the unaliving with these agents of innocent American citizens who actually are here legally. And when we speak about stuff, you people get mad. So why you people mad? You people are mad at the wrong people. What you people should be mad at is the person that's running this damn country that done screwed you people over. You people who did that vote and lined up in line with them red and white baseball caps on, you people should be mad. So next time you decide to call a black person you people, why don't you look at you people and look how stupid you're looking right now? Because the truth of the matter is, you people are the reason why this economy in this country is the way that it is right now. So next time that you address somebody as you people, know your facts and look at yourself in the mirror. Thanks for watching.
A black person is killed and murdered by white people or is found dead surrounding white people. Like, these white people are so offended at the sheer thought that maybe it's not safe for people of color to be friends with and around white people. As a white person myself, I understand what is happening, and it's fucking horrifying. It's like, you want to be racist. You want to say the worst of the worst about people that don't look like you. But once somebody calls you a racist, that's the offense. Not the fact that these people of color are dying at the hands of white people. Nolan Wells was left on another island away from where he was supposed to be, and these people did not report him missing. They just said he was missing. He was on a boat with his friends, okay, and went missing, and they didn't report him, but yet they're innocent, but yet they're changing the photo. They're AI generating the photo that was shared previously of them drinking alcohol, and as if they weren't drinking alcohol. And one of the mothers is a fucking lawyer. So that's, or a judge. She might be a judge. I don't know. But I don't feel like it's going to bode well for...
I will never, ever, ever begrudge black folks and folks of color for saying they do not trust white people. And a terribly upsetting example of that is what happened to Nolan Wells. He spent 4th of July weekend with 3 of his friends who he thought were friends, and they are white. He is black. And Nolan Wells died. We don't know what happened. I'm not going to speculate. That doesn't do anything for anybody. But we as white people have not given people of color, especially black folks in America, any reasons to trust us as a collective group of people. Full stop. And if you are a white person and you are bothered when black folks say they don't trust white people, think of this moment. Think of the unfortunately countless other moments in American history where white people have been instigators of violent crimes against black people. Because whether you like it or not, that is American history. It is. And you can't escape it. But we can do something to change it. And that starts with every one of us white people interrogating the white supremacist ideologies that we were raised with and our society was built upon, and it is our job to undo it.
I know that certain white people, men specifically, people that are conservative, people that are able to think differently than whatever the mass media is trying to program you to think, whatever they trying to program y'all to think on social media. I know y'all are sick of liberal white women apologists, because on one hand, she says that she's not going to speculate. She doesn't have an opinion yet. But at the same time, they up here calling for justice, and they don't even know what the cause of death is. As of the recording of this video, right? Nobody knows exactly what happened. There's an active investigation. going on. But we're so focused on racism and trying to make everything a black versus white conversation, right? We're so focused on trying to make everything a liberal talking point. We're so focused on trying to make sure that everybody understands that you, as a white woman, you're not a racist. You're not one of them. We don't understand. We have to use our privilege in order to try to feel some type of emotion or find some kind of justice or interrogate everybody. And I'm telling you, bro, it's these liberal white apologists and the culture is the ones that keep making everything a race issue. They are the ones that are keeping racism alive and well and thriving. And when we get fatigued from even having this conversation based off of race, I can go into a classroom and somebody will tell me, oh man, well, listen, we got to make sure that we grade you on a curve because somehow, some way, it's going to be racist as far as the test. And it's like, yo, I'm tired of hearing, not tired of reacting to, let's be clear, tired of hearing people complain about racism and they don't even give the investigations an opportunity to see itself through so that we can make an informed decision on what really happened and then formulate our opinion. But everybody is so quick.
We need to talk about Nolan Xavier Wells until the media actually start covering this story, until the police actually start doing their job. If this had happened in any other scenario, imagine a white boy with 3 black boys not coming home. Those boys would be arrested. Imagine a white girl with 3 white boys. Those boys would be under scrutiny for their relationship to women had there been abuse before. Imagine a white girl and 3 black boys not coming back. Again, suspicion of murder and scrutiny. But the media are reverse blaming him, including his friend's mum, who's just come out with a statement saying he chose to get on another boat. He chose to get on another boat without his phone, without his keys. He chose to get on another boat, and yet his body was recovered right at the tip of this horn, far away from where any boat would ever leave. So these are his friends who he took a trip to Horn Island that can only be accessed by boat, and again, only left by boat. So it's not the kind of place where you say to your friends, hey, leave me here, I'll walk on water home. Also, quite easy to arrest these boys and question them because they're drinking underage. You can get a criminal record, you can be arrested. There's evidence of them drinking underage, and there's evidence that they left their friend who died. It can certainly result in questioning by police. Why were you drinking? Why did you leave your friend to die? So this guy, Warren, his now deleted social media, his mum just came out and reverse victim blamed. Apparently Nolan decided to stay on an island you could only leave by boat, but gave his friends his phone. Completely bizarre. So your son brought Nolan to an island that can only be accessed by boat and left by boat. Last saw him at 3 and then thought at 4:30, oh, we'll just leave. The boat's got a little bit of water in it. It's time to leave. Let's take his phone. Let's take his keys. As a mother, to condone your son leaving his friend behind on an island he cannot leave without boat, let's take our friend's phone and keys, who we haven't seen apparently for an hour and a half, and leave. Let's just leave him here. Oh, and then we'll blame him. He decided he wanted to stay. He decided he wanted us to bring his phone and keys and not him. He was going to get on another boat without his phone and keys. Just curious how Nolan could make a decision to stay if he hasn't been seen for 1.5 hours. Gave her son and his friends his phone and keys and decided to just wander off to the end of the island where his body was discovered. Well, these guys kept on partying. They posted and posted on social media their drunk, fun antics while they left their friend missing and unalived. A judge wants us to believe that her son just very kindly took Nolan's phone and keys, left him on an island because he wanted to get another vote after having an argument. Nolan just decided to go right to the end of this island on his own. No phone, no keys, no boat, no friends, and mysteriously died. Nolan's family deserve the truth. Nolan Xavier Wells. We will keep saying your name. And we will keep saying your friends' names so they can delete social media posts, but they cannot delete their identity. These are the boys who are wanted in suspicion of murder of Nolan Xavier Wells.
I have to call a thing, and some of you are not going to like me for it. Some of you are going to respect me for it. Some of you might even disagree when I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. White people are future impactors for us. They impact how we all live, but some will impact whether we live. And in this situation, they impacted whether he lived and he didn't. Black children deserve to become Black adults who transition into the Black elderly. They deserve lives that are long and that are full, but in a world riddled with so much racism, they will oftentimes disregard our Black bodies when they don't see the value in them. They do it at the workplace, they do it in the classroom, they do it as your neighbor, they do it as your friend, and they'll do it on a boat. So when I saw this story, my heart broke, but I was not shocked. It's happened many times before because they are future impactors. But this is the part that y'all might disagree, and this is the part that might get y'all a bit upset, but I'm still going to say it because it must be said. Where we are in the world, it is not safe for us to be the only one that sits at a table with them. And if there's only one of us, there really should be none of us. This is the same world that is rewriting history and facts. The same world that is banning books that tell you the truth. The same world that is arguing that diversity and inclusion in your workspace and in your classroom is not important. The same world that is justifying rape and incest to hinder you from having the right to have an abortion. This is that world. We are not safe being the only one at the table. It impacts our future and whether we live. And it makes me sad that this situation can be used as an example to prove that fact. To the family, I'm sorry. To those who loved him for real, I'm sorry. To the many, many other Black folk who this has happened to and we just do not know your name, beloved, I'm sorry. To the young Black people who watch this and are getting nervous and scared, baby, don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Live your life to the fullest and live it smart. And to the individuals involved in this, I promise you from the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul, and I say it with complete and utter conviction, justice will be served because I serve a God who knows all things and all resolution. And to you, my brother, rest in peace. And though you did not get to live long, your name shall live forever. I'll make sure of it.
No, 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 no. You are absolutely not going to tell me that Nolan's friends didn't have anything to do with this. So you're saying that he left his phone on the boat with his friends and he just walked away or disappeared to go continue hanging out, later found floating in the water? Are you trying to tell me that a young adult would leave their phone on a boat with people just to go hang out? I'm about to be 38 and my phone is in my hand all the time. There's no way I would leave my phone and walk away from my friends. I didn't come here. If I was in this situation, I wouldn't have come here with these people if I wasn't going to stay with them and hang out. And you're not going to tell me that nobody saw what was happening. People are saying online that all these people unfollowed him. Not only that, there's people who lawyered up. What are you lawyering up for if nothing was wrong? There's no way that y'all are going to tell me this. This is what I mean when I say that we need to protect our people. And it's not about complete race or anything, because it literally could be any race that's been hanging out. I don't care what the other friends look like. We just need to be protecting
are people. And if people are in a situation like that, we need to know that they're okay. If there was an argument that was on the boat, I wish that Xavier would have sent a message to someone to let them know what was going on, so that he himself would have been protected with somebody else looking out for him, because his friends were not his friends. Nobody knows if this was a thing that was plotted. Nobody knows if he really actually accidentally drowned. But I don't fully see how he could have accidentally drowned, because I'm pretty sure he knew how to swim. And I know for a fact that at least in my state, children learn how to swim in the 3rd grade. My kids were never taught by me to swim. They came out of 3rd grade knowing how to swim. It's an initiative to make sure that there are less drownings in my state. Children nowadays are not in the same position like us millennials, whose parents were afraid to take us to places, to actually sit here and learn how to swim. I had to learn how to swim as an adult, because of my cultural differences within my mother, who sat here and was just like, nah, we don't do water. So nobody's going to sit here and tell me that nobody saw that boy get in there and drown. I don't care what anyone says. And the reports are stupid. What do you mean? No, it wasn't an accident. And until proven, I'm going to continue thinking that it wasn't an accident. It doesn't mean that his friends technically did it. It could have been somebody else. We don't know those details yet. But it's mighty suspicious that everybody's already trying to protect themselves. If you have nothing to hide, you don't need to get a lawyer. Not at all. Okay? Protect our people. That's all I'm saying.
Because of the way whiteness protects itself, being the token black person in a group of white friends isn't just dangerous. It could potentially be deadly. And once you start seeing the pattern, you can't unsee it. When Nolan Wells decided to go on a boat trip with his friends in Mississippi on July 4th, I'm sure he and his family felt comfortable putting a great deal of trust into those friends. But just like the cases of Tamla Horsford, the only black woman in an adult sleepover party in Georgia who was found dead the next morning, and Peter Spencer, the Jamaican immigrant who was shot 9 times during a camping trip with a group of white people in Pennsylvania, or on a different camping trip with Terrence Woods Jr., who joined his 11 white colleagues in the woods of Idaho and is still missing, it's fair to ask, where were these trusted friends during these black people's final moments? Look, I don't want to make any of this sound like a conspiracy, and honestly, it's far more heinous that it's not, because whiteness doesn't actually have to sit down at a table and conspire on how to protect itself. It just reacts, automatic and impulsive. That programming and the unawareness of it are exactly why white spaces aren't safe for black people. Let's get into it. So W.E.B. Du Bois talks about this in The Souls of White Folks, his 1920 essay that argues whiteness itself is propped up by violence, and that the discovery of personal whiteness functions like a religion that people are inducted into, and allegiance to that religion requires a moral corruption to sustain itself. So when Ta-Nehisi Coates uses the phrase people who believe themselves to be white, he's treating whiteness as a belief that requires violence to sustain itself. But to be clear, none of these are cognitive choices, and they don't actually need to be. The subconscious nature of whiteness protecting itself is exactly why people who believe themselves to be white, or at the very least are not in a daily struggle with whiteness in America, can never be trusted around black bodies. And why? That's simple. They are socialized to sacrifice black people knowing that the consequences will be minimal. This entire conditioning is actually fed back to us through Hollywood. I'm talking tokenism and whiteness protecting itself wrapped up in fine cinematic storytelling. Let's start with His and Hers. The sole black girl in an elite friend group of white women who orchestrated her sexual assault, filmed it, and then actively worked to cover it up. In Get Out, something we've all seen, where tokenism almost gets the main character killed until his saving grace, another black person who isn't under the spell of white supremacy, comes and gets him out. And for a portrayal of how whiteness protects itself in law enforcement, we have 7 seconds where a cop kills a black teenager, albeit accidentally, but his fellow officer's first response is not to help keep the black teen alive. It's to protect one of their own. This is what whiteness does. The pattern isn't in one villain. It's dozens of people choosing silence because loyalty to the system outweighs the cost to someone outside of it. It's why I don't have white friends that I can't talk about race to. It's why white people who are in the mutual struggle against white supremacy need to be on the constant lookout for the dangers surrounding black bodies. And it's why black parents should be very wary of situations that tokenize our kids, not because we don't trust our kids, but because white kids aren't privy enough to the impulses of their own whiteness to keep our kids safe. My heart simply aches for Nolan Wells' family. And it's my belief that every single one of those kids knows exactly what happened to him.
My house was on fire today. It's burning to the ground. The firemen are called, and I'm learning that there is a trend going around where this specific type of house is being targeted for arson. And so now they have like a criminal investigation open up, and I'm learning that this is like a thing. And I had no idea. No one told me, but it appears that my type of house is routinely targeted for arson. And while we were talking about that, my neighbor comes over, and she doesn't have that type of house. Her house is still standing. It wasn't burning to the ground. And she says, well, my house matters too. All houses matter. And I'm looking at the house that's burning to the ground, that has been specifically targeted because of how it is. And I cannot believe that she had the audacity to say that. And I guess by now you've probably figured out that this is not about houses. This is about people of color, Black people specifically, and hopefully you realized how stupid that sounds. Not only is it super invalidating, it detracts from the issue. There is also something to be said about not having to insert yourself and make every single issue about yourself. And the fact that you are unable to do that is some weird kind of narcissism. Like, people need to figure that out. So if you're a white person and you're doing this and you feel the need to, all lives, well, what about all children? I need you to just sit down and shut up.
With this Trayston Shepard, he said nobody wanted to see Nolan die. No one wanted to see anything happen to him. Well, saying that, it almost implies that you saw something. And he also said that he was a close friend of Nolan's. But Christine Walmsley, Nolan's mother, said she doesn't even have any clue who he is. And why would he be reaching out to all these news outlets but hasn't spoken to the family yet? And then he makes this odd statement. To all media outlets, please be advised that I will no longer be granting interviews to any additional reporters. My intention was to speak truthful regarding the situation. I have established direct contact with the necessary individuals should further clarification be required to address any misinformation. Moving forward, I will only be communicating with the two reporters with whom I am currently engaged. I apologize to anyone expecting a more extensive story. My priority remains advocating for myself, my friends, and justice for Nolan. Well, it sounds like he didn't like what everybody was saying once he started to tell a story that didn't seem to make much sense. What do you guys?
As community and family have conversations since the news about Noel Xavier Wells has hit our timelines and this baby's body has been discovered, I want to say that I don't disagree with the conversations of informing your children around, your children, the people around you, my goodness, around the impact of being the only person in white spaces. I think what I would like to add to the conversation, and something that I had to learn in real time as someone who grew up in a family where nobody ever talked about race. Like, I know I was Black, but I never got any sort of conversation from my parents about the impact of whiteness. I never got those conversations. If I could talk about an area of growth, a gap that my parents had, my grandparents, even my great-grandparents. My great-grandfather, Andy Wright, was a buku Republican. Like I just never heard those conversations. It took a white man I was dating, Chris August, to say, like, you don't ever talk about race. And I was just like, we just don't do that here. And what I think is the best approach for us in this time until we get to where we want to go is informing young folks about the pitfalls of white supremacy and the harms, and also giving them the game to help them understand how they will end up navigating these spaces. If your baby goes to an HBCU, and they ain't got to deal with white folks the whole time there, right? That's great. But they get into the workforce, it's there. We exist in a country rooted in and hungry to thrive off of white supremacy as the battery of it. And I've bore witness to folks who completely understand the systems of white supremacy, but don't have the skills to navigate them, but want to exist in them and have to exist in them because they're fighting against capitalism and they're struggling. I've been the person who was oblivious, and you think that you are traipsing through the world, and then you hit that brick wall and there's all these deeper understandings. I will also say we spend a lot of time talking about the white man, especially to young black boys, but y'all don't talk to them enough about the white woman. So those babies will be aware. In a Carmelo Anthony type situation, I'll be honest, I was slightly gagged when there was some young girl on TikTok who posted a picture of her and Carmelo when he got sentenced. She was not black. She didn't look black. And so your babies will be aware, hyper aware of how whiteness shows up in white men and how to protect themselves against that, and then end up with white women or surrounded around white women or centering white women as their patronus around beauty and care. And they are the gateway to white men because they birthed white men. They're the root. You warn them about Kirk, but you don't say shit to them about Karen. Don't work like that. And there's a reason that they was building these white girls to be the shape of black women. It wasn't on accident. It wasn't on accident at all. Those are the motherfuckers really cosplaying black women, not the black trans woman. It was these white bitches out here doing it. No shade, all shade at the same time. So these conversations need to be expansive and thoughtful, and also give them the space to talk about attraction and talk about how it feels when you are a black queer person, and black spaces may feel unsafe for you. Doesn't mean that a white space is going to be safer. Talk to them about the reason that when y'all push out your black queer and black trans communities and they cleave themselves to whiteness, it doesn't make it better, but you don't feel like you can be loved. There was a long part of my life where I was like, I can either be a great queer person or a great black person. And being a great queer person seemed more possible until I was able to grow through it. Thank God. God protected me enough to where I was able to grow out of it. Not everybody does. And there are generations of parents who still believe that putting your child in white spaces will give him more opportunities, give them more opportunities. That's still a thing. Especially I've seen it in the South. So I hope we keep having these conversations, but I hope they're expansive, and I hope they are thoughtful, and I hope that we are pinpointing all of these entry points outside of just don't be the only black person in a group of white boys. There's so much more to that.
On today's lovely episode of White People Can Never Just Read the Writing on the Wall and Understand That a Lot of Stupid Stuff is Going On, we have Nolan Javier Wells, a black child, 18 years old, who went on a 4th of July getaway with, I believe, 3 of his other white friends. So the gist of it, we're not going to get down to the whole nitty gritty, but basically they took a boat. White people always got a boat. They took a boat, went to a damn island, okay? Somewhere. They went somewhere, and then Nolan ended up going missing. He didn't check in with any of his white friends, didn't check in about how he was going to get back to wherever the starting point was or anything like that. So he ended up going missing. The white children that he was with, I believe everybody was 18 in this scenario, but they're still children. Let's be real here. The white kids that he was with, they just assumed that even though they haven't heard from him for a good amount of time, that he was able to secure a ride back in order to get back to where they first started. Turns out he was missing this entire time, and his body was just found. Dead. And of course, queuing in from stage left, we have a ton of white people who say we need to get all of the facts straight before we just start blaming all of the white people that he was with. Who knows? Maybe he really did go missing. Maybe somebody took advantage of him while he was missing. Can y'all ever just read the writing on the wall and shut the fuck up? Because if the roles were reversed, you would have want, if it was one white person, 3 black people, you would have want every single one of those black people investigated to the fullest extent of the law, and you would have wanted them in a courtroom within 2 hours. So let's just stop the pitter-patter bullshit, please. Those white kids had something to do. They had something to do with it. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, they had something to do with it. Because let me also be very clear with you. I grew up in the Bay Area here in California, okay? My first ever friend that I can absolutely remember, who I am still friends with to this day, my first ever best friend, he is a half white, half Filipino person. Not a racist bone in that man's body. If we went somewhere, even if it was just down the fucking street to the fucking park, and if I was missing and he couldn't find me and I wasn't answering my phone, that man, first of all, would have called my mother, would have called his mother, and then would have called the police. And he would have wasted absolutely no fucking time doing either of those three things, and he would also have been looking for me. How in the fuck are you, supposedly the friend of this black child, how in the fuck are you going to go on a boating trip with this person? That person then goes missing on whatever fucking island that you went to. And you just assumed that that person, without even trying to check in with that person or even find that person, you just assumed that that person was able to then get a ride back, and you just left the fucking island and didn't even care to check in. They had something to do with it. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Those white children had something to do with it. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, negligence at best, they had something to do with it. And I will not be told otherwise, because now you have a bunch of white people who are talking about, we need to get all the facts of the case, yada, yada, yada. Do y'all remember that other case that happened where that one black lady, I'm so sorry, I mean no disrespect, but I cannot remember her name, but I remember it was one of the biggest things that I've ever seen on YouTube when every single true crime documentary channel was telling the story. She went to a sleepover. She was the only black lady at the sleepover with a ton of other white women, and then she ended up dead at the end of the sleepover. And to this day, nobody knows how she ended up dead. I can tell you one thing. One of those white women had something to do with it. If not, one of those white women who had a man had something to do with it, because there is no fucking way that you can convince me that the only black lady at an all white person sleepover ended up dead and there was absolutely no suspicion, no suspicious activity whatsoever during the entire debacle. Bullshit. It's the same exact fucking thing. Those white children had something to fucking do with it, and you are not going to convince me otherwise. And if y'all white people keep on playing in people's faces, let me just tell you something. Go fuck yourself, because the next time something happens to somebody who's important to you, I'm not going to give a fuck, and I will tell you I don't give a fuck. And if I can never meet you in person, I will look you in the eyes and tell you that I don't give a fuck what happened to your friend, family member, or anything like that. Because if this is the attitude that you're going to have when it comes to a black child, freshly 18, who went fucking missing, and nobody even gave a fuck to look for him or try to check in with him, you have me entirely all the way fucked up. End of story.
The truth about the entire situation is that when something like this happens, people always have a lot to say. That's one thing, and people are always going to talk. But I don't think this entire issue was all about race, as many persons are trying to make it sound like that it was because of the race, like he was black, that's why he got killed. For me, I just have that speculation or that instinct that it wasn't really about that, because they've been friends. Why on earth would they just decide and let him down because of his color? For me, it doesn't make sense at all. Like, sometimes it's good to give the benefit of the doubt. But I know that, yeah, anti-racism has been existing for like decades right now, and that's one thing that the black population has been struggling and striving to fight against for ages right now. But it's not proper that any situation that just arises, you all try to make it all about racism. Maybe there were other stuffs attached to that, and I think we have to look at perhaps the bigger picture at times. It's not all about racism. Perhaps there were deeper truths to the matter that we're still to uncover. So I don't think this specific Norland issue is about racism or something like that. So let's just give white folks a break, and some of them that are actually, let's say, empathetic towards the situation. And it's high time that we set aside racism and try to look at the bigger picture of things, rather than always trying to say, okay, it's because this guy is white or it's because this guy is black, that's why it happened. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I would love to hear your own thoughts in the comment section. And if you love my content, do well to leave me a like and hit on the subscribe button so that you won't miss out on my future content. See you in the next one, and love you.